Hey YouTube, Tele Tuesday. Been working my way through the tellies. This might actually be Tuesday. It's Monday just now, but I left it a bit late before I did this. So this is my telecoustic, an actual Fender, which I think I've only got two actual Fenders. This and the Music Master bass. So the serial number starts 03, so probably a 2003, something like that. So almost vintage. I know there's a lot of things kicking about. Was it last year or maybe even this year? Can't remember. Going mad with this lockdown thing. Fender have brought out a sort of. They've obviously already used the telecoustic name, but they've got a new guitar which is sort of maybe not that dissimilar to it. But this is a full blown acoustic. It's not like the sampley stuff in it, the modelling equipment in it. It does have a Fishman piezo under saddle bridge, and it's made of sort of fiberglass plastic. Kind of like the Ovation bullback guitars you get. It's kind of what it is, apart from it's Telecaster shaped. Made in China. These get an awful lot of slagging online. You see lots of folk who think they sound terrible and stuff, and it's like, look at the size of it. It's that thick and it's this big. So compared to like a full blown Dreadnought, no, it doesn't sound as big and as loud as a full blown Dreadnought. But it doesn't sound bad. It just doesn't sound like a massive, like a real acoustic. So kind of think of it more. It sounds more like an acoustic, like a travel guitar does. I used to have a Washburn Rover, which was it was just smaller, but it was even more so than that. So it's somewhere between like an acoustic and something like the Washburn Rover. But it's got a bolt-on Telecaster neck and very much Telecaster dimensions. By all accounts, it's meant to sound pretty much, if you're playing it plugged in, so you can't actually hear the sound coming from the sound hole. Pretty much just sounds like any sort of mid-price or probably low-price electroacoustic, for gigs and stuff. I suppose it would fit in a smaller gig bag. And it's got a very electric neck, and you can get up nice and high in the fretboard. No problem. I bought this a good few years ago. I'm not even sure I actually had a Telecaster at all. I think this might have been my first Telecaster. But I've not actually even played it for ages. I used to take it out in the boat, play it in the boat. It did great. So now I've kind of shimmed the neck a wee bit, polished the frets up. When I took out it's so old that when I took out the first of the bridge pins, it snapped because it turned into a sort of brittle. It'd gone sort of yellow and brittle. Two of them snapped. So I had these brass ones in my parts box, which I don't think I've ever actually. They were cheap. I think it was like a $5 for a set or something, or it might have even been less than that. And I figured brass meant to make it louder. Maybe it did. I don't know. I just think it seems to sound rather exciting and interesting. So this is it, not plugged in. Just into the usual mic. There's a thick pick. I'll try using a thinner one. So it's well loud enough for acoustic sing-alongy type stuff. And really the only thing that lets it down for playing sort of lead on it is the not bendy G string, which is just it's an acoustic thing, because it's wound. But it plays fantastic. And it's like we're now getting to the stage where I actually remember these being in, like vintage guitars. I remember them being new. Okay, so 2003 is maybe not quite vintage yet. Still got a couple of years to go. I remember these in McCormick's in Glasgow and trying one out. From memory, they were about 250 quid or something. They weren't expensive. They weren't cheap, but they weren't expensive. And I thought that was, for an actual Fender. It's not a Squire. It's an actual Fender. I thought that was very cheap. I I tried it and I didn't like it. But you know, a lot of these things are just it depends what it is you want it for. I would argue, you could almost argue it was a travel guitar. There's a Stratacoustic as well from this era. Now there are later on ones. They don't make this one anymore, but a few years after this, they brought out one which might have been called a Deluxe, which had it was had a horrible scratch plate on it. It was a much not as pretty a looking guitar as this. It looked more. I think it was more expensive. It had like a magnetic pickup in it as well, and it was a Fender. And at the time they did that, they changed this one to being Squier, so you get Squier teleacoustics. Even though I can't remember actually having seen one of them on eBay, I had a look last night just to see, you know, what they were worth these days. But this was very much a case of I kind of always wanted one. I bought it in Guitar in Glasgow, and they had a red one, or it was like a sort of candy apple red on the wall, and I took it down and I played it, and I can't remember the exact price for it, but I played it and I was like, yeah, it's not really for me. And then I saw this one down below. They were both second hand, but this one was half the price of the red one. And then when it, you know, when it gets to a certain point, I kind of go, oh, and I like this one an awful lot, even though it didn't play, because see, whoever it was that put the strings on it, you do occasionally see this, you know, someone who can't put strings on, which is strange since it was a guitar shop, but the string had been like put through the hole and then tuned, so like it wasn't even wrapped round once round the post, so as soon as you bent a string, it just pulled the string clean out the headstock. It's like someone had, you know, they put the string through the hole, you know, pulled it tight, gave it a turn until it was in tune, and then just snipped the wire so it didn't, you know, basically you could just pull the string and it would just unravel and pull off the. So that was, I think that might have been why it was so cheap. So I put decent strings on it and ended up with this, and it's lovely. There's also a newer one I saw which has I already said they're almost called a Deluxe. It's called something else, a Plus. Is it a Telecaster Plus or a Teleacoustic Plus? It seems to have a bigger bridge, and it's also got a different. This one you put the battery into you pull out the Fishman EQ thing, and the battery goes in there. The Plus one has got a battery that goes in here where the output jack is. The output jack, this one's in the end pin, and it's got a USB thing on it. That's what the Plus is for, so you can plug it into, I don't know, GarageBand or something like that. But I'm not sure how useful that is, because I think you can probably just buy a lead that does that for a $5 and stick any guitar in. But I don't know. So that's my knowledge of these. I remember seeing one of these in Amsterdam when I was away seeing John Fogerty, and it was paisley patterned, and I thought it looked fantastic, and it was €300, whether it was new or not. The shop wasn't open, and I didn't have the money for it, but had the shop been open and I'd had money, I would probably have bought that, because a paisley one would be totally cool. Basically, when you look these up, don't just assume that it's shit. It's like a lot of people are never going to accept a guitar that's plastic. It doesn't do the thing that the Ovation or the bowl backs do, where you sit and you're constantly. It always seems to end up sitting like that because it's bowl backed. It is flat. Well, it's slightly carved, but it's more flat. So let's see how it's going to work. A slightly dodgy input on it, more than slightly. It's a Fishman Classic 4, that's what it says on this. I'm trying to get it to a volume that I can just sort of put it into the loop pedal, is really my only thinking. Obviously plugging it into a bass amp isn't the best thing to plug it into. I just figured it's probably better going into the bass amp than it's going into the electric amp, the guitar amp. turn off the amp, just play it doesn't seem to be picking up the high E string very well, but I'm going to use it with try plug it into an electric amp, see if it does pick it up. I'm wondering if also means I can turn down it down a bit loud. Also means I can put reverb on. Chorus on. Only 21 frets, not 22. Open the reverb, chorus. Most got to put the first big one really, don't they? Maybe good for feedback. What I think the important thing with the acousticiness thing for me anyway is when you batter it like your open chords, it does respond like an acoustic, not like I'm not. This is it not plugged in, but it's like. So I think I can see why they put they did the sort of deluxe or the whatever the higher up one, the later on one of this did. They put a magnetic pickup in it. A nice single coil in the bridge, in the neck position, would fit nicely, and if there was some way to blend between the two, would be lovely. But I really like this guitar. I think it's a bona fide. It's miles better than the Washburn Rover. Obviously it's bigger, but it's better than a travel guitar, and it sort of is a travel guitar. Plus it's a Telecaster, so it looks cool as. And you can play it nice and high, nice and easily. And I've never really plugged this in. I mean, well, apart from there when I plugged it into the bass amp. Maybe if you stuck it into like, in fact, if I used that acoustic pedal, I bet you I could get some good stuff out of it. But it's loud enough for, you're never going to plug it in when you're sitting playing in the house on your own. Maybe I suppose you could use it for recording. Use the output. But it's always going to be loud enough for sitting playing and watching tele or something. You're never going to have it plugged in. I would maybe consider this, see if I was like a truck driver or something like that, where I kind of wanted a guitar to play in the cab when I'm on my break, sort of thing. This would be perfect because it does have, you can still play the metal on it and stuff because it's got nice high access and it is basically it feels like an electric guitar, apart from the fact I put acoustic strings on it. I did before put electric strings on it, and it didn't work nearly as well. I know a lot of people do put electric strings on acoustic guitars. I think you probably get away with it more on a Dreadnought than you do on like a small bodied thing like this. But acoustic strings. Incidentally, I'm actually really impressed with these strings. They were really cheap. The packet I'm sitting there. Ugh. Tico guitar strings, and they're fine. I think they were like £3 a packet or something like that. I bought a couple of packets. In fact, Tico's, I think he's one of the guys in Breaking Bad, if I remember correctly. Or what's better, what I preferred even better was Better Call Saul, which was a sort of prequel to Breaking Bad, which I actually like better than Breaking Bad itself, which I've just been watching on Netflix. So I recommend the Tico strings if you're looking for really cheap acoustic strings. They seem fine. I was playing this last night, battering out. I think I might play nearly the whole Easy Rider soundtrack on this, just for something to do. I was going to actually, there's a field just down round the corner down there. I think I'd taking the laptop and the mic and stuff out and actually maybe just playing some songs sitting cross-legged in the middle of a field. Might be quite cool. But I never got into that today. I was away doing a deal. I got rid of that D-Name-L. I didn't like it and swapped it for that, which is pretty amazing. I'm looking forward to doing a video for that, or actually just playing that. Copyright hopefully didn't hit there. Rock on. See you next Tuesday. I'm not really running out of Telecasters yet at all. This is, as I said, my only Fender Telecaster though, even though it's a telecoustic, but it's not a Telecaster. So these are really cool, and forget what the snobs say about not buying it. You know, it's like, oh, it doesn't sound as good as my Martin. Well, it doesn't, no, because your Martin cost £2,000. This brand new costs like 300 or something. Plus it's tiny, plus it's Telecastery, plus it's textured plastic or whatever it is. There's also a Strat acoustic, and Brian Eno plays a Strat acoustic. I remember watching some mad synth program where they were talking about you know, the synthesizer pioneers in the 80s, and he's got a black Strat acoustic that he's playing in his studio. So it's good enough for Brian Eno. Good enough for me. Rock on!